Have you ever had a visitor who wasn't what they first appeared to be? Be a repairman who showed up at your door wasn't a repairman at all, but a salesman trying to repair your wallet. Or maybe a friend that you invited over for dinner turned out to be a food critic for a popular restaurant review channel. The point is, sometimes people aren't who we think they are. In today's passage, we see someone who also wasn't who he seemed to be. Let's read Genesis 18 to 1-15. 3 strangers came to visit Abraham, and he welcomed them, made them a big meal, and gave them food and water. And he said, "Please stay here, rest yourselves, and I will wait on you under a tree over there." Then Abraham looked up and saw the 3 of them standing there. He ran to call his wife Sarah. "Quick, Sarah, 3 sons are here, and they're staying at our tent. It's time to get the best food we have ready. Quickly, make some bread and milk." "Hurry, hurry." Sarah did just as Abraham told her. She made some bread and milk and brought it out to them. And as she set it out before them, she laughed. "Look, I'm old, and my husband is old, and our laughter has died out between us. Are you serious? You want me to make children? You want me to laugh again?" Then Abraham was angry. "What are you laughing at? Don't laugh at. Don't laugh." But Sarah, she couldn't help herself. She laughed again. "I didn't laugh," she said. So Abraham was still angry. He said, "You really did laugh. But how can you say, 'I didn't laugh,' when you were only human?" Now listen carefully. The Lord has not given you a definite time about your descendants. He will certainly do what he has promised. And I know, Sarah, your laughter may be about this, but next year you will laugh in joy over your son, and I will return at that time to see you." Then Sarah secretly laughed to herself. She said, "Who could have believed it? After I've stopped having my period, I will have a son. And Abraham, my husband, is so old, his body has lost all its ability to have children." As the narrative opens, Abraham is having a nice day. He's hanging out in the heat of the day, probably taking a nap, when suddenly 3 strangers show up. Now, typically in ancient times, when travelers would walk long distances, which these guys had, they would be dusty, dirty, tired, and they would need food and water. So Abraham, being a hospitable man, welcomes them and takes care of their needs. One of them, though, was actually the Lord himself. But Abraham didn't know that. He treated him no differently than he treated the other 2 angels that were with him. But here's where things get interesting. After they finish eating, Abraham wants to send them on their way. And before he departs, God says, "I will certainly return at this time next year to see you, and Sarah your wife will be laughing, for I will have given you a son." So Abraham and Sarah were very old. They had laughed in their old age because they thought it was impossible for them to have a child. But God didn't think it was impossible. In fact, he told them that their laughter would turn into rejoicing. And he made a special note to mention that he would return next year to see them. Now, we don't know exactly why God chose to come back to this couple after all this time. But we do know that sometimes God shows up in ways we don't expect, and he often does so in disguise. In fact, Jesus teaches us this very thing in Matthew 25. When he talks about the sheep and the goats, he says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." So when we welcome strangers or those in need into our lives, we might just be welcoming Jesus into our lives. And like Abraham, we should treat them with kindness and love. Sometimes divine encounters were dusty feet.